Hi, everyone, and welcome to another class with me, Stephanie, here at Linguistiko. This class is called Retelling Stories, and it is for students who are at least at an intermediate level. And we are just going to practice retelling some stories in this class. It's not too hard. We're going to talk about what we should focus on when we are retelling a story, how to tell it, and then we're just going to practice, okay? So this is a listening class as well as a speaking class, because first we have to listen to the story, we have to watch the story. I'm going to be showing short films, basically, and we're going to retell the story that we see. Now, some of these films have no words, some of them do have words. Okay, so we are going to be retelling the story, and this will help us to incorporate new vocabulary, to practice the vocabulary that we already know, and if any mistakes are made along the way, that's perfectly fine because we correct those as we come upon them. So anyhow, that's the gist of what we are going to do today. And retelling a story in English, as I said earlier, it's not too difficult. You just gotta focus on a few major points. But the only thing that really changes is the pronoun, you know? So if in the story somebody says, I went to the store, then you would say, she went to the store. We could also change the verb from past tense to present tense, okay? But that is a decision that each person gets to make. They get to choose how they are going to tell the story. A lot of times people take a story from past tense to present tense to make it feel more immediate, to make it feel more alive, basically. But it depends, because if you want to tell a story to an audience and do something that is like storytelling, like the art of storytelling, then you would make it sound like a story. Hi, Fernando. Welcome back. Great. So this class is called Retelling Stories, and that's exactly what we're going to focus on. And the good news is that this isn't too hard. I must say it was harder for me to learn in Spanish than I think it is for people to learn in English, because in Spanish I would have to change verbs. Like if in a story there somebody said fui, I would have to change it to fue, and for a non-native Spanish speaker, that's actually pretty difficult because you have to change the entire verb. However, in English, it's not so difficult, because if in the story somebody says, I saw a mountain, then basically as you retell the story, you would say, she saw a mountain. So really, nothing changes except for the pronoun. That's the good part. So this class, we're going to focus on listening and watching, because I have some short films, some short animated films to show. And based on those films, the stories of those films, we are going to be retelling what we see and the stories that we see. Hi, Alexander. Welcome to class.
Hello.
Great. Good to have you here. I was just telling Fernando a little bit about what we are going to do. So when you guys read the description of this class, what were you hoping for? What are you hoping for? What do you want to learn today?
Well, actually, just maybe reading kind of a short story or maybe a part of a video or something like that, yes, as you said, and then telling what happened there or onwards.
Good. Okay, great. Well, good news. That's exactly what we're going to do today. But we're not going to focus on reading. It's simply going to be a film, a short animation. Hi, Ming. Welcome to class.
Hi, Stephen.
How are you today?
Doing pretty well. What
Great.
about, what about yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing good, thanks. We're talking about the class. So I was really surprised a lot of people signed up for this class. So I'm curious why each person signed up for this class. What are you wanting to learn? That's my question. So Fernando already answered. Alexander, I'm going to hop over here to you. What are you hoping to learn today in this class?
I think it's a grammar class mostly. Yes.
Do you like grammar classes?
Yeah, because it's as I said to you, I attend another service, and there and here grammar class it's very rare. But
Oh,
I like grammar classes.
okay. I'm going to have to keep that in mind and make some more grammar classes for you.
Thank you.
No problem. So yes, today it is a grammar class, but it's not a grammar class. Now, here's the reason. Because it's actually not that hard to retell a story in English. There are basically 2 points that I'm going to talk about, 2 things that we have to remember when we're retelling a story, and then we're going to practice these things. That's pretty much it. It's harder in other languages, and I'll explain why in a second. But Ming, why did you join this class today? What are you hoping to learn?
Pretty much the same reason as Alexander, to learn more about grammar.
Okay, so you guys like the grammar classes. Good. Yeah, I do a variety of classes. I do reading, writing, conversation. I'm sure you guys have seen that before. So if there's ever any grammar topic specifically that you guys want to go over, be sure to send me a message, because I like the question I did this morning that was tag questions. There was a lot of grammar in that class. That question had more grammar than this class is going to have. And that class was requested by a student. I don't remember which student, but somebody requested it, and so I said, yeah, sure, I'll do it. So if you guys have a specific grammar topic that you struggle with, send me a message, and I'll make a class based off of that. Okay. Okay, so retelling a story. The reason why I say this isn't that difficult in English is because basically what ends up changing is the pronoun. So if I say, okay, I'm going to tell you guys a story. When I was little, this happened, and I did this, and I did that. Then if you think the story is funny and you want to tell my story to your friends, you would basically change the pronoun. And with that, maybe you change the verb a little bit, but not much. So you could say, yeah, Stephanie, instead of I went, you would say Stephanie went to the store. And instead of saying, and then I saw, you would say, and Stephanie saw, or and she saw. So that's really, really simple. I was telling Fernando, because he's a Spanish speaker, that when I was learning Spanish, it was much more difficult for me to learn how to retell stories, because I don't know how much you guys know about the Spanish language, but basically the entire verb changes. Because in English we have I saw as 2 words, and in Spanish you can have it as 1 word. So I saw and you saw would be 2 completely different words. And then you have to add all the tenses to that, and it gets really complicated. And yeah, there's a lot of grammar in that. But I realized in English there's not so much grammar involved. So there's that, the pronoun change. And then the other thing too is you get to decide if you want to change the tense or not. Okay, so you see a story, and then you can tell the story in the tense that it was told in, whether it was the past tense or whatever. So you could say Stephanie went to the store, and then she saw a stranger, and then the stranger attacked her, whatever the story is. Or you can bring the story into the present tense. This is okay to do as well. You can say, so Stephanie is at a store, and she sees a stranger, and the stranger attacks her. Okay, so you can choose which tense you want to be in. However, what I have to say about this, though, is you don't want to slip back and forth. You either choose the present tense and you tell your story in the present tense, or you choose the past tense and you use past tense words to tell the story. Now, sometimes you can mix certain things. So if you're saying Stephanie is at the store, she had been studying for 2 hours before that, yes, we can include a past tense to include a past action that occurred prior to the story, but you don't want to just slip back and forth and say Stephanie is at the store and she was looking for some cereal. Does that make sense? Okay. So those are the 2 main points. And then the other things we want to focus on when we are retelling a story are the details. So first, the characters. Okay, you want to be able to describe the characters. You want to be able to make them come alive to the people. The people have to be able to visualize these people. So your words have to be very descriptive. So you need to focus on the adjectives and getting a little creative with the adjectives. So the characters, you need to focus on that. Then you need to talk about the setting. If you just want to tell me a story and you talk about the characters and what happened, but I don't have the setting in mind, then I'm not going to be able to relate so much to your story. Okay, so you need to you need to speak about the setting, where it takes place, what time of day, what's going on around the area. Okay, and then you need to talk about the events. Okay, so the events. Now, the events of a story. Let's talk about this really fast. There are the initial events, and then there is the rising action. Okay, when one thing happens and it leads to another and another, and all of a sudden it comes to a climax, which is like the biggest event, the biggest problem. All of a sudden, there's like an explosion in the story, basically, and then there is resolution at the end. Okay, where the story becomes resolved, and then there is an ending. Okay, but you're still not done. Because if you just tell me about the characters, the setting, and the events, I'm going to be like, and? Why are you telling me this? Okay, there has to be some kind of connection. You have to connect to the story on some either like emotional or intellectual level, and you have to share something about yourself or about your opinion, about the world, about something. So you're going to see some clips today. This is what we're going to do. We're not going to read stories and then retell stories that we've read. We're going to watch clips, and we're going to and these are all cartoons, you guys. These are all cartoons. So you're going to have to find some relevance and some connection in these little clips to be able to give us a connection at the end. Okay? So the first clip or a couple clips, they have words. Okay, it's a scene. You're going to hear English. The dialogue is going to help you maybe learn some new vocabulary. Then you can incorporate that vocabulary into your retelling of the story. However, later on, the clips have no words. They are just animated films with no words. So you're going to have to look and think, okay, what am I looking at? What do I see? How do I say this in English? There's no dialogue. So you have to then retell a story that you saw, but that had no words. Okay, so we're all going to practice this, and you can decide if you want to retell the story simply and be very simple about it, or if you want to do a little bit of entertaining as well. I would recommend going along the entertaining route. You want your retelling to be interesting. Okay, you want to capture your listener's attention. Okay, so no, we're not going to practice a lot of grammar today, but everything that we are going to practice is definitely very relevant to the English language, because storytelling is something that we do on a daily basis. We say, hey, did you hear what Jenny said in the office today? She told me about the time that, etc. So that's what we're going to practice. So everybody should have the YouTube app open and ready to go. You got it? Okay, I'm going to copy and paste the link. Okay. And have you guys seen the movie Monsters, Inc. or Monsters Incorporated? This is a short film. You may have even actually seen this one before.
I don't. I don't see it.
Okay. Okay. Ming, you haven't seen it?
I have.
Oh, you have. Okay. So this one is called Mike's New Car. So here we go. And you guys, if you want to write down a little like keywords that will help you remember the order of events, I suggest that, unless you think you're going to remember everything. And if you want to write down specific vocabulary to use that in your retelling, that's also a good suggestion. So I'm going to play it. It's going to start automatically. I think it's like 5 minutes, and then we will work on our stories. Here we go. Okay, guys, I was like trying not to laugh the whole time. I thought it was funny, but that's just maybe it's my kind of humor. Who else thought this was funny?
Actually, very funny. I was laughing out loud. I think
Definitely.
I'll be watching those kind of videos even when I get old.
Good.
They're very funny.
Awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And Fernando, I saw you smiling over there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was very hilarious. I mean, I like it a lot.
Good. Good. Okay, Ming, what did you think?
I chuckled.
I'm glad I got Ming to chuckle. Yes. Okay, you guys. Okay, so there were a lot of actions, there were a lot of things that happened, and if you didn't write down the order of events, maybe you're gonna forget some, but we'll try and get the story straight. There were a lot of details, so lots of things. Okay, who wants to volunteer for the first retelling of this story?
Maybe I could start.
Great. Okay, Alexander. Alexander's going to start. Now, are you going to tell this story in the past tense or the present tense?
Uh, I think past's more hard, but then it's a problem sometimes for me. So I'll go with past.
Okay, great. So I'm going to be listening and I'll help if to correct. Okay? Okay, go ahead. Tell us the story. What happened?
Can you remind me the name of?
Oh, absolutely. Sorry. The guy with one eye, that's Mike, the little green monster. And then the other one was Sully, like this, Sully. And it's short for Sullivan. His name is Sullivan, but they call him Sully.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And Mike one was showing to his friends Sully his new car. They went out from their apartment, I guess, their apartment, and Mike was showing Sully the new car. Then Mike offered to Sully to take a ride. To took a ride.
To take a ride.
To take a ride. Okay.
Or to go for a ride, actually.
Okay. To go for a ride. Then they got in the car. But Sully, this car was too small for him. And Mike suggested him to adjust the seat.
Yes, he suggested that he adjust the seat.
Yeah. And Mike was pulling some trigger. I think.
Sully was the big guy. Yes.
Sully pulling trigger.
Or pushing a button.
Pushed a button to adjust his seat. During this action, Mike was trying to pull out a seat belt, but he failed, and I think he fell off from car.
Fell out of the car.
Fell out from the car. Fell out of the car. Okay. Then I don't remember what happened. He couldn't open the car's door.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he asked for help Sally to pull a button, but Sally didn't know what button it was, so he pushed wrong button.
The wrong button.
The wrong button, and it set off opening of and I don't remember.
The hood.
The
And
hood.
the button opened the hood of the car. Mm-hmm.
Then Mike was very angry, and I think he reached out his hand to motor or diesel. I don't know how it's motor.
Mm-hmm. The engine.
Yes, to the engine, and the engine to suck him in the car.
Good.
And then hood closed.
Yes.
Oh, it's hard. Okay.
If you want, Alexander, instead of going over every single detail, because it is difficult, you are right, you can summarize. So that means you don't have to tell anything. Instead of saying each little detail, you can say, and then Mike gets stuck in the hood, and then he finally gets out.
Okay.
So right there, we just take 2 minutes out.
Okay. Then he jumped out from a car, and then got into it again.
Mm-hmm.
And yelled at Sally that he didn't touch anything because it caused the problem.
Oh, okay. He yelled at Sully to not touch anything.
He yelled at Sally to not touch anything.
Mm-hmm.
Then he got very angry, and he how to say, asked to leave.
He told him to get out.
To get out
Mm-hmm.
from the car.
Mm-hmm.
Sally got out from car, and Mike start engine and go away, but
Mike started the engine and went away.
But he couldn't drive too far because car broke and the wheels.
The car broke down.
Okay, car fell apart.
Yes. Yes. Good. Yes, some good phrasal verbs there. To break down, to fall apart.
Yeah, fell. Fell it past.
Yes.
Forgot it.
It's a sneaky little irregular verb.
Yeah, fell apart. And I guess that's it.
Okay, good. So this activity is hard enough, and it's always harder to go first. So your classmates are going to have an easier time because they already learned some vocabulary because you messed up, and it helps. So anyways, in the next Yes, thank you. So in the next after the next clip, you won't go first, Alexander. We're gonna switch up who goes first so that other people get a chance. So okay, so who would like to go next?
Oh, I can go now.
Awesome. All right, Fernando, here we go.
Okay, first I will pick to retell this in the past. So I will move to the past. And oh, thank you. So I will move. Thank you, Alexander, and I will move to the past right now to start. So at the very beginning of the story, there was this guy Mike that was very excited about showing a kind of surprise to his friends, but he didn't allow him to see what was happening. So he has closed her eyes, his eyes, sorry, his eyes. So in that moment, Mike took Sully outside the house to show him the surprise. And when they were outside the house, he allowed Sully to see what was going on. So uh, then Mike was very excited showing him, and he said, "Ah, here's my new car." So the first thing that Sully asked to Mike was, "Hey, that what have happened to its old car?" Or so then just my without answering, just say, "Hey, you know what? Just keep quiet." And he told that he got like rewards for him. That was six wood car. So he was very excited just because he got a more powerful or imponent car. He invited Sully to go to enter to his new car, so they will enter there. And when they were inside the car, and they started to Mike started to show all the different stuff that there were inside the car to Sully, and he said, "Hey, you know what? You can adjust your seat," and Sully just started to adjust their seat, but he like I don't know, he while he was doing that, he got desperate, Mike. So he just asked, "Hey, you want please stop doing that," but he yelled that to Sully. So then they were just starting to, he was about to start up the engine, but they noticed that there was a little bit of sound, and just for the seatbelt sound, so they fastened the seatbelt. So Mike had some problems fastening the seatbelt, so he was like struggling with the seatbelt. Then he got out of the car, and during the process, the door just closed by itself from the old movement. So he was like just trying to figure out and making signs to this guy Sully, hey, to push the button to open the door. So in that moment, Sully started pressing, like trying to guess, hey, what button would I will try to push? So he pushed one, and the hood was open. So then Mike went to try to close the hood, but he couldn't because he's short. Yeah, he's very short, so he couldn't. So they just slowly since from the inside the car just push the hood and he closed it. But Mike got his hands stuck inside the hood, so he opened it again, and when he did that, Mike got into the engine and he got stuck there. And well, that was very bad for him, but at the end he could go outside the hood, and then he just went inside the car again, and he started all over again to start putting the mode to start up the engine. But for that time, he just asked to Sully to leave his car because he was like tired of all the things that were happening, and he kind of almost blamed indirectly to Sully for all that happened. So he just started the engine and he tried to go I think backwards, but he didn't notice the that the I don't know that the car was in direct right position, so he just went to the other side and he crashed his new car. So that's
Good. Okay. Okay. That was a very detailed description. I like that you had so many details, but I also think that by having so many details and explaining everything so much,
yeah.
it makes the retelling very long. Okay.
Okay.
So my advice for you for next time would be to take out unnecessary words and phrases. For example, you said so in that moment, and we don't need the in that moment part. Maybe not even the so. So we can make our transitions shorter. We can say then, next, after that, and using simple transitions like that is going to be very helpful. Now, I like something that you added. You made a connection, and this is something that we've been forgetting to do. At the end of our storytelling, the first two of you guys, you didn't really make a connection. And so in a story, after you tell a story, you want to connect it to your own life. So Ming is going to have to do this. So you want to connect it in some way. You want to give some opinion, and a connection can be simply something like, "Oh, and I thought it was funny because." That can be a connection. But you did make a different kind of connection. You said he blamed solely indirectly, and that was great because you weren't just telling exactly what happened, like that you saw visually. You were explaining and something that you caught on to, that you were able to see. You're right. He never said solely this is your fault. But you could tell by Mike's body language and his tone of voice and the things that he said that yes, he was feeling frustrated and he was blaming solely indirectly. So that was a good connection. Good job. Okay, so Ming, it is now your turn, and so remember to focus on characters, the setting, events, and some type of connection at the end, okay?
Okay, I will do it in past tense.
Okay, you got it. Here we go.
It was a bright and sunny day. Mike decided to show his friend Sully his new car. It was parked outside of their house or apartment. Sully asked Mike why did he get the new car. He replied, because it was a 6-wheel drive. So Mike had trouble getting into the car because he was much bigger than Mike. And Mike told him the seat was adjustable. So Sully adjusted back and forth, left and right, over and over, until Mike yelled at him to stop. Then I don't remember much after that. Then Mike somehow fell out of the car and got trapped under the hood. He managed to get out the hood, but he looked haggard because of the moving engine parts and the heat inside the hood. And Sully continued to mess around with the car till everything fell apart. Mike was very angry. He yelled at Sully to get out his car to prevent further damage. As he was driving away, Sully mentioned that the airbag is, at least the airbag is not working. As soon as he said it, the car fell apart. And Mike said, I wish I had my own car. I thought it was funny because Mike just got his new car and it got totaled.
Yeah. Yeah. See that? What you said right there, that connection that you made, that made me laugh. So that's what it's about. It's about helping your listeners connect to what you're saying by inserting yourself and your ideas into the story. So I wrote some notes. I want to say something about this. You did a very good job of retelling the story, even though you forgot many specific details, because retelling a story, it's not just about telling every single detail. It's about letting the people get the idea of what happened. So you said he somehow fell out of the car, and then he got stuck in the hood, and then he managed to get out. You didn't say how he fell out of the car. You didn't say how he got out. But by using these specific yet non-specific words and terms, you are able to give an idea to your listeners. Without being overly specific and overly detail oriented. So that was good. And then at the very beginning of the story, you said, I think Mike said this, to which Soli replied, and I was like, wow, he really is doing storytelling, because you guys are going to see how I tell this story now, and I'm going to tell it how I would normally tell it. And it's not really storytelling. It's not like, and then he replied, and then he spoke, and he said. But what Ming did was a very good example of like almost artistic storytelling, you know? And then he even said this happened, and he did this to prevent that. And you know, the vocabulary he was using was, you know, very, what's the word? Like as if he were reading a story. Okay, so that was good. Now here's what's going to happen when I tell my story. I'm going to tell my version now. By the way, good job. You guys all did very, very good. So I'm going to tell my version now, and you guys are going to notice that I insert a lot of things. I'm going to insert what they're feeling, what they're thinking, because it's obvious. Like you can see it on their face, right? So I'm going to insert that even though it wasn't said. So I'm going to retell this story like that. So here we go. Okay, so Mike is all excited, and I'm going to use the present tense since you guys all used past. Mike is all excited. He's leading Soli out of the apartment. He makes Soli, you know, cover his eyes, and he's excited to show him his new car. And Soli is a little bit exasperated. He's kind of like, why do I have to shut my eyes just to see this? Okay, whatever, here we go. So then Mike goes, okay, here it is. He presents his car. And Soli's like, what was wrong with your old car? Like, did it have a problem? And, you know, Mike gets irritated. He's like, hello, this one is 6-wheel drive. So he's like, no, just get in, you'll like it. So then Mike goes around and he gets in. They both get in the car. And, of course, Soli is like so big. So, you know, he's like not fitting very well. So then Mike says, hey, you know, here's a button. You can adjust it. So he starts adjusting it, and then he adjusts it, and he gets lower and lower and lower, and pretty soon you can only see his eyes. So then he's like, oh, thinking, wow, this is cool, and he starts playing with it. So he starts playing with the button. He goes up and down and back and forward and everything. And at first, Mike is like, you know, not paying any mind. He's not paying any attention. He's just, you know, fiddling with everything, getting it ready to start the car. And all of a sudden he realizes what his friend is doing. And at that point, you can see his eye and his eyebrow just like going up and down, and he's annoyed. And finally he just turns and yells, and he's like, will you stop? So when he did that, like, I was shocked. It kind of like made me jump in my seat, you know? So then Soli is like feeling not intimidated, but like he got in trouble. So he, you know, he sits there kind of shy like, and next thing, you know, they have to put on their seatbelts, and of course Mike has trouble. So this is the part where Mike falls out of the car somehow. Thanks, Ming. And then he says, open the button, or, you know, open the button, or press the button, and Soli doesn't know which one, so he presses one, and it opens the hood. So Mike goes around, really annoyed, of course, to shut the hood, and it gets shut on his hand, and it really hurts. And then it opens again, and it starts like doing this crazy open-close thing. Next thing we know, Mike is stuck inside the hood, and he's like bouncing around in the engine. Okay, and we can just imagine what this must feel like. Okay, this guy is like really going through a lot. And you know, in the meantime, Mike is just, you know, inside. I mean, Soli is inside pressing buttons, answering phone calls. It's just really silly. So basically, in the end, Mike managed thank you again, Ming, managed to get out of the hood. He gets back in the car, and you could tell that he was, what did I write? Oh, shoot. I didn't write Fernando's example. He was, what did you say, Fernando? Like annoyed. He was unintentionally something, whatever. He was blaming, what was
Yeah,
it?
blame. He blamed Sully like indirectly.
Indirectly, there we go. He was indirectly blaming Sully for all of the problems, and he just makes Sully get out of the car, and then he vrooms away. Okay, he drives away, and then all the tires like come back, and Sully's like, "What's going on with this car?" Next thing he knows, Mike is flying through the air, so he catches him, and then Mike says he wants his old car back, and they decide to walk to wherever they were going. So pretty funny and pretty ironic. I was laughing the entire time just because they're two little monsters, you know, and they're two little cartoons, but they look so human in their facial like expressions and in their tone of voice and everything. So even though they were monsters, I felt like I was watching a movie for adults. It was really funny. And like Alexander said, I will also watch this in my old age. All right, you guys. Okay, so we're going to do another exercise. I have another clip. We took quite a while on this first one, which is fine. Don't worry about it. It's fine. This next one is, I think, 5 minutes as well. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to watch it. Okay, you guys write down words, write down vocabulary, and then the exercise is we're going to say a few sentences about the beginning and a few sentences about the end, or basically we're going to summarize it. We're not going to say this is what happened and then and then and then. You're just going to give a summary, okay, instead of retelling the entire story because we're not going to have time. But this is from the movie Up. Has anybody seen the movie Up?
I have.
Good. Okay, you
Me
guys
too.
will recognize this
Um,
scene.
yeah, I've seen it.
Alexander, have you seen the movie Up?
Do you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, I've seen it.
Okay, good.
Is it
Good.
low volume for me?
Kind of. I hear you kind of softly.
Okay.
Okay, but as long as you guys hear the video, that's the... Actually, no, you just need to see it because this is a part of the movie that has no words. So here we go. One second. Okay, guys, sorry. It was so sad. I know, I know. Don't cry. I know, because the first one was so funny, and second one was really sad. But anyhow, here's what we have to do, guys. We have 9 minutes, so we need very short summaries. Like you can see in this video, they showed us an entire lifetime of this couple in less than 5 minutes, okay? And they did a very good job, and I know it's heart-wrenching. So you have to find a way to do the same thing, but you have to do it in 2 minutes, okay? So Alexander is not going to go first this time. So Fernando or Ming, who would like to go first and give us a summary of this short clip?
I will.
Okay, thank you, Ming. Go ahead.
Carl and Ellie met in the attic in an abandoned house. Both of them were adventurous and awkward kids. They somehow ended up together. Somehow is my favorite word. Got married and lived in the same house. Everything was perfect, but it was implied that Ellie couldn't have children, but they still had so they decided to, instead of having children, they wanted to build a house on top of a tall mountain next to the waterfall. So they started to put money in a glass jar to save for their trip, but there was a lot of trouble in their life. Every time they needed money, they would break the jar to use it. Um, uh, so time flew by, and in a blink of an eye, they were all old. One day they were cleaning the house, and Carl realized they didn't have much time. So he went to the travel agency to and bought both of them tickets to the Paradise Fall. But Ellie fell sick like right after that, and she died, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And Carl was sad. He sat in the front of his uh, porch, uh, all depressed and gloomy. And he walked back into the house alone, like when it got dark. That was it.
And connection?
It was sad, but it's kind of sweet. So that's why that's why it was one of my favorite movies.
Aw, yes, we call that bittersweet. When something is sad but sweet, we say it's bittersweet. Um, so thank you, Ming. Yes, I agree with you. And now Alexander and Fernando, you guys have an even harder task because you have to give a summary in 1 minute. Because if it goes any longer than that, we're not going to have enough time. So I'm going to ask Alexander to go next, and then Fernando. So we're all in a different order this time. Okay, so Alexander, a 1 minute summary. Don't even focus on the details, focus on the major events.
Okay. uh, uh, the story starts from marriage of the young couple. They are in church, or marrying on the bride's side. On the bride's side, everybody cheerful, but on the groom's side, everybody is so very serious. Then we see how goes their life. They support each other. And they don't. They do everything together, even in hard when they had hard times.
Mm-hmm.
And even the wife fell sick. The husband saw her through, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Saw her through. Then they dreamed about baby, but they didn't have one. Then they getting older. Then the wife died.
Mm-hmm. And connection?
What is connection? Sorry.
It's the end part where you have to connect to the story and relate it to either your personal life or something that you know or have been through.
It's a great example of loyalty between people who love each other.
Good, beautiful, wonderful connection. All right. Thank you very much, Alexander. And Fernando, your 1-minute summary. Let's hear it.
There were these two guys getting married at the very beginning. So everybody started just right there when they got married. The the bride side was like very, they were very excited, celebrating and everything. They were very happy. But on the groom side, everybody was like, I don't know if they were made. They gave me the impression that they were bored, or they were like not expecting that to happen, but still happened. It was like very weird. But the point of that they got married, they went to the house that they wanted to have since they were kids. Then they started to fix everything and make them comfortable for them. And so they actually did it, and they, as a part of their routine, because they like it, they went like, they went very often to a hill, and they just sit inside the tree that were on that hill. They started to imagine things on the clouds and watching the figures that the clouds take the form of. And then they just spending really good time. Then they started to save some money in order to have a trip, because they always dream to went to a place. So they started saving money. So one day being able to get into that place. But as the time goes by, they were having some accidents and other stuff. So they always had to use their savings for a comp to pay the bills. So the time passed by, and when Carl realized, they were already old, and he just realized, hey, okay, the time is passing and we haven't gone to that place yet. So he decided to go to buy some tickets and to surprise his wife in that way. But
Good. Fernando, sorry, I have to stop
Okay.
you because we're running out of time. You guys
Okay.
all did very good, and in our next class, Fernando, you're welcome to finish the summary. Really fast, I know it's already the hour, like we've already hit the mark, but hang on, 30 more seconds, guys. When I say a 1-minute summary, I said it, and everybody pretty much focused too much on details. So let me explain what this means. I said a 1-minute summary, and you guys took like 30 seconds to talk about the wedding, and that was just the very beginning. So what we have to do when we do this kind of summary is focus on the major events. So a man and a woman were in love, and they get married. They spend their life together. They love each other. In scene after scene, we see how they take care of each other. They dream of having a baby, but it doesn't work out. Then they make a new dream, and they decide to do this big adventure with their life, but it doesn't work out. They saved money for it, and every time they had to use the money for something else. So before they knew it, they were old and they hadn't done this adventure, and at the end, the woman dies before they are even able to go on their adventure. And then the last scene, we see the man sad and alone and old entering his house. So that would be a 1-minute summary. Notice I didn't focus on any details. I didn't focus on how anybody felt or anything. It was just the major, major events. So I think this is a good class to practice again. But maybe we'll practice not just retelling stories, but I'll make another class for working on summaries so we can condense information, okay? That way we can be able to tell it a lot faster. So anyhow, thank you guys for this class. Thank you for coming. I hope you guys learned something. I know at least you all got to practice. I'll make some more grammar classes. I'm sorry we went over the time. Does anybody have any questions before we exit the classroom?
I think this is a good class. I like it.
Good. Thank you, Ming. Thank you.
Because like other classes, the teacher asks us to retell the story, but they don't do it themselves. So they can like see how native speakers tell the story and compare.
Okay.
Compare, yeah.
Great.
So
I'll do it again then. I'll do it again. Thank you. I'm glad. When you guys give me feedback, seriously, leave me feedback on my classes. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you think we should change, because that helps me become a better teacher for you guys. Okay, and that's what I want to do. So thank you, Ming. I appreciate your feedback.
no problem.
Great. Anything else?
Well, everything.
Thank you. It was very good, as always. I like your classes.
Great, thank you. Okay, well, I'm open to talking for 2 more minutes if anybody else has anything they need to discuss or any problems or questions. If anybody has to go, this would be the moment to leave, and I'll see you guys next time. So if you have a question, stick around. If you don't, I'll see you next time, okay?
Okay. Goodbye.
All right. Bye-bye.
I would like to ask you about the time difference. How much time is it now?
Right now it's 2 o'clock in Argentina, 2 p.m.
2 p. Okay. So it's so not big difference, because I try to attend your class, but sometimes it's the time.
Oh, it's not a good time. Tell me how far ahead you are.
No, just for me. No. Don't do it. Just do it as always. No.
Yeah. No, I know, but I'm curious. What time is it over there?
Now it's 8 p.m.
So you are 6 hours ahead of me.
Yes.
Oh.
No, it's not. I don't mean that it's not convenient time. I meant that it's all the time different. Sometimes I can in the morning, but your class don't. There isn't class in the morning. Sometimes I can, for instance, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's.
Well, I have good news and bad news. Well, I used to sort of just make my availability at any time of the day, so Linguistiko would give me classes in the morning and then classes at night. However, I did that for a month, and now I'm trying to get a more determined schedule. So what I mean by that is I'm trying to work from 3 in the afternoon till about 12 at night here. So I can do classes in between that time, but I'm trying not to do morning classes, or if I do morning classes, maybe only once or twice a week. That way I can organize the rest of my life. I have other things, that I do, that I want to do, and if I'm trying to get my Linguistiko classes all around the same time, and that way I always work with the same students, and they get to know me, because if I keep doing random classes, some students get to know me, and then they want me to do classes in the morning, but I can't, so I'd rather just do it at a certain time, and that way I'm always working with the students who are available at that time, and we can like get to know each other and work and advance, etc. Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
thank you. See you next time.
Yeah, no problem. See you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.